This is a KOAA5 special.
The greatest natural threat that we have seen in this community.
Oh my God.
A lot of traffic, a lot of people trying to leave the area under this mandatory evacuation.
The fire came down the street at about 65 miles an hour, hit my house, jumped to my neighbor's house, and it looked like a bomb had gone off.
The Waldo Canyon wildfire, the most devastating fire in Colorado history. It burned over 18,000 acres, displaced thousands of families, destroyed nearly 350 homes.
30 seconds from the time it hit our garage doors until our house was totally engulfed in flame.
And tragically took 2 lives.
I'm sorry to report that earlier this afternoon, the remains of a second human being were discovered.
But in spite of all we've been through, we rallied.
I've been on a lot of fires in my 30-plus year career here, and never once have we seen the outpouring of support that we're getting from the public for the firefighters out there.
Day after day, while some felt that their lives were coming apart, this community came together, united with one goal: to help our neighbors put their lives back together again. Because there may be a dark mark on our mountain, but the spirit of Southern Colorado can never be dimmed. KOAA5 presents A Timeline. From smoke in the sky over Garden of the Gods to the horrific inferno that had residents fleeing with a terrible choice: what to take, what to leave behind.
I gotta get out of here.
Now, KOAA presents Fire on the Mountain, the first 12 days.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Horbelt.
And I'm Rob Quirk. Jennifer and I are standing on one of the hardest hit areas of the Waldo Canyon Fire, a graphic scar on the landscape that symbolized what Colorado Springs residents had to endure for 12 days during the summer of 2012.
For the next 30 minutes, we'll walk you through a timeline of Colorado's most devastating wildfire that for nearly 2 weeks had the nation watching and praying for the people of Colorado Springs.
And it all started on Saturday, June 23rd, with just a plume of smoke.
About 2,000 acres in size is what the Forest Service and the folks at the Incident Command Center west of Colorado Springs are saying. 0% containment. We're being told about 360 personnel are fighting this fire in some capability.
I live there. Put it out, will you? Wow, look at that.
We do not have any confirmed reports at this point of what has burned.
And have covered some of the largest fires in the state's history for all these years. And saw this fire start and knew there was something different about it.
This is very interesting, and this is fantastic to be able to see this from our crew's perspective. Now that the fire is hitting a much deeper resource of thicker fuel, i.e. a thicker grove of trees, you're seeing these large outbursts of flames.
Oh, that's close where they're dropping.
Here's some pictures we're going to show you from viewers as I'm telling you this from the firefighters. The fire has been moving very fast. That terrain is very steep. It's also been changing rapidly with the erratic directions of the wind. At this point, it's moving, it seems, away from the city of Colorado Springs, but that doesn't mean that that couldn't change.
We're worried about wind shifts because the wind will drive the fire where we don't want it to be.
2,000 acres, 350 firefighters on the fire lines working to try to contain this blaze. It is not contained. 1,000 homes have been evacuated, 2,000 people affected.
We have a business and we've invested a lot in it. We've just started it and it's a definite concern, and we're hoping everything will pan out.
Really anybody's guess what's going to happen, but we're going to be here until we know one way or the other what's happening, and make sure people are taken care of.
Our guys, they're up there now, and I know they'll come up with a good plan of attack in the morning. Let's just hope Mother Nature's on our side.
Man, those flames are big, they're intense.
So it really has come down quite a ways.
Mandatory evacuations for all of Manitou Springs. That went into place just after midnight.
I had my employees
block off my vents and put tissue under the door because of smoke.
Fire crews there have called for all hands on deck.
This is a day, or a couple days, we've long dreaded would come, and it's happened. And I can't tell you how proud I am of our community.
It's happening the way that they expected it would, that a fire would start, that it would grow rapidly, move through these fuels, and come very close to these homes.
Mayor Bach and his team are on top of this. They've got a lot of personnel up there right now. So again, given the force of Mother Nature, we're doing everything we can. The local communities are doing everything they can.
Certainly all the firefighters and police and the Sheriff's Department, City of Manitou, everybody's pulling together on this. And it's a tremendous effort that's being well coordinated and very effective.
Take a look at that from those live aerial pictures. Just a huge swath of trees that, for all intents and purposes, literally exploding amid these dry conditions.
This is a serious drought, the worst drought we've had since 2002, and we're seeing very comparable fire problems that we had in 2002.
You're going to see a lot of smoke, you're going to see a lot of fire, and you're going to see a lot of aviation resources out there. And so if you see that, just know that that's what we're expecting that we should see.
We have some updated numbers here. 120 commercial properties and 13,500 homes are threatened at this time. The fire is estimated at 3,600 acres. It's at 0% containment. So far, no structures have been damaged.
You take a look at downtown here, it's Sunday night, and typically there would be hundreds of people going up and down the sidewalk. We pretty much have the sidewalks to ourselves, and we have a car pulling up, but he's the only one looking for a parking spot here. All these cars you see coming back are people still filing home. The thousands of people in Manitou Springs who were evacuated, they're coming home, they're driving down Main Street, but they're pulling off the side streets. Nothing is open here tonight, but you know, people are coming, they're waving, they're honking their horns, and getting home. As I said, they're cautiously optimistic.
As we continue to cover the Waldo Canyon Fire, still burning, uncontrolled for the most part in the hills west of Colorado Springs.
The values at risk still make this fire the #1 fire that we're having in the country right now. The weather and the terrain is really what's pushing this fire.
The glow you can see lighting up the night sky.
After 4 days of smoke, fire, and unbelievable stress throughout our community, a new player entered the picture: wind.
Strong 65-mile-an-hour gusts added fuel to the fire. Flames raced toward neighborhoods, burned homes, scorched land, and threatened nearly 20,000 other homes and structures.
Yeah, the devastation caught the attention of an entire nation and President Obama. Of course, city blocks went up in flames. 2 people were killed. 32,000 people had to be evacuated.
On our broadcast tonight, the disaster zone in Colorado.
Saw the flames and saw helicopters dropping and protecting Cedar Heights. And I remember saying to the photographer, Joe, you know, they're concerned about that Queens Canyon right now because they're bringing in planes and they are not messing around. They are doing drop after drop.
There are now structures involved on Flying W Ranch. This is
our worst fears come to fruition. Oh my goodness.
I don't think anyone really knew just how bad it was until Tuesday night when it just blew out of proportion.
The way this wind is blowing, there's no mistake that people need to get out.
Here's another look at the slow crawl at I-25 and Woodman.
Like 50 miles.
You could see the flames rolling down the hillside. And it was kind of a chaotic scene because we were right at the entrance to that neighborhood. There were still cars trying to get in, but there was a police barricade there. And, you know, folks trying to get home, grab any of those personal belongings, they were being turned around.
We're looking up, we can see blue sky directly above us. Don't know if we're going to be able to show you that. White with those clouds, but then you come down and we have got the smoke rolling in. Right over here to my left, you can't see it, but I can tell you that Garden of the Gods is right there. And 30th, you were talking about the fire trucks. We can hear sirens up over there towards Garden of the Gods and 30th.
It's been a shocking day, to say the least, and a fire like this just hasn't been seen in this community, at least in 40, 50 years.
Just heard in our ear that and it sort of is boggling the mind at this point. The crew, the Coronado High School area, our crew at Coronado High School has now been evacuated.
We have homes burning right now. There is no telling. It's a very unpredictable fire. I think our fire service is going to be really asking a lot of their people tonight.
I think most people know somebody who is being directly impacted at this moment. Our own Bill Folsom is continuing to report for us as he's watching his neighborhood burn.
We are doing absolutely everything to save those properties. And so like Jerry was saying earlier, this is not the time to talk about what happened. We will get through all that as the days and weeks go on, but we're still in the middle of this. We're not done.
The eerie part was just how, with all the smoke, it was gray and cloudy and almost like there was a fog, but then it became orange, and you knew that that orange was just reflecting the light from the flames.
I'll tell you, I think shock is an understatement to what I witnessed and where it had moved from when I last seen it, just over an hour's time.
We went up and stood up there last night just to watch the fire. It was like the apocalypse. You know, there were fires burning everywhere in the darkness, and it was such a helpless feeling.
The acreage of the fire is 15,324 acres.
The devastation, you know, entire blocks gone, and then across the street the homes are standing, you know, just skipped around.
Unbelievable photos, and we're going to try to get more of those for you throughout the evening.
And here's one of the subdivisions that we were alluding to earlier, where you have an entire cluster of homes gone, and then across the street they're all intact.
Literally across the street, right there in the center of the screen, you have that one corner where the home is absolutely demolished, and across the street both ways, caddy corner and right across the street, it seems like not even the trees are singed, and that vehicle looks untouched.
Hi, babe. Just calling to tell you that I was able to see our house, and it looks like it's safe.
I wasn't prepared at all. I was at work, so I was just frantic is what it was.
There have been no cadet evacuations at this point, and in processing for about 1,000 new cadets will resume tomorrow.
We're survivors. I guess, what do I feel? I feel blessed that we're all safe. We're all together. And it's just stuff. It's just stuff.
Here is the very latest that we have learned from today. 18,500 acres now. The fire grew roughly 3,000 acres today. It is still 5% contained. That containment has not changed in 2 days at least, but now there are more than 1,000 personnel working on this fire from the ground and from the air.
And we're taking a look at Blodgett Peak in Colorado Springs, where we've seen some flare-ups.
We're going to get through it, and this community is going to mount an unprecedented response to this. Susie and I are going to lead an effort to bring every possible resource to help all these people who have been hurt so badly.
The emotions are happiness and amazement, also loss and sorrow.
Like, why did our house get spared and theirs didn't? Because they are so close, and we love them like family, and that's my neighborhood, that's my community.
You could start to feel the heat on my face. It was like standing really close to a campfire, and I'm going, this is not the heat of the day. This is the heat of the fire getting closer to us.
Now, KOAA5 and the Alpamar Foundation established this fund. Alpamar's already donated $100,000 to the cause.
And a lot of information coming out of this most recent briefing. Obviously, the bad news first. We learned that 346 homes were lost in this fire. The good news, we learned that the fire is now at least 10% contained, and some of the firefighters are still making their way back in from the lines, and so they think that that number could grow a little bit more tonight as they begin to get more feedback from those firefighters.
Unfortunately, the remains of one human being was discovered in the debris.
The search continues. We have informed family members.
Right now, let's begin with the news. Important today, the Waldo Canyon Fire. Late last night, we learned that it has now turned deadly.
Police Chief Pete Carey announced in a brief and emotional statement that officers found one person dead inside a home in the 2900 block of Rossmere Street.
We want to express our condolences to the family, and we want you to know how sad we are for them, and would ask that you would respect their family in their time of need.
As of today, this morning, we have 15% containment. We're really, really proud to see this black down here on our maps. This line is not red anymore, it's black, and that means we feel very confident that it's contained at this point in time.
Now, what are the plans to meet with President Obama today?
What's interesting, you know, Mayor Bach's not bashful. We know that about him, and he's going to get to spend some quality time with him and really talk about our community, how our community is suffering right now, and how the federal government might assist us in the recovery process.
You guys are good to go, right?
We oftentimes don't do the direct firefight of the oncoming fire front. We help protect the structures and evacuate the people that are being affected by the fire front.
We've been keeping a close eye on Peterson Air Force Base for you. Let's go ahead and get a live picture right now. The president is arriving.
We are so grateful to see the extraordinary coordination that's taking place between the state, federal, municipal, all the agencies, everybody trying to put everything they've got into this thing.
Are your hose packs? Okay, so I'll go ahead and hang these.
We can provide all the resources. We can make sure that they're well coordinated. But as I just told these firefighters, what we can't do is to provide them with the courage and the determination and the professionalism, the heart that they show when they're out there battling these fires.
It's something that I enjoy, I love doing, and I guess I feel that I see a more direct impact because you're actually seeing the people as you're doing the job. And a lot of times in the wildland environment, you don't actually see the people you're impacting.
We don't know whose houses are going, but I know, I know the people whose houses went. So emotionally, that's different. It really matters to us that these are our neighbors. There are neighbors that are losing their houses.
This has been a devastating early fire season for Colorado. This community obviously is heartbroken by the loss of homes.
We're getting all kinds of help from outside agencies, and I just can't say enough about their performance, how much we thank the cities for making that contribution. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and they have just helped us get through this event.
After days of destruction, evacuations, and a raging battle by fire crews to gain control, a glimmer of hope surfaced as progress began to be made.
Now, agencies and crews finally shifted their focus to recovery and restoration. And for the thousands of people who were evacuated from these neighborhoods, they were finally allowed to return home. For some, their home was still standing. For others, everything was gone.
We saw a firefighter's glove on the ground. I also saw boot prints on the flagstone walkway, meaning that it must have been so hot up there that the rubber was melting, and they stopped that fire.
Overall, as a result of having the cloud cover, we were able to make some really good heyday, and we got containment up to 45%.
We have also just learned that pre-evacuation orders for Monument, Palmer Lake, and unincorporated areas of El Paso County north of the Air Force Academy have been lifted. There's also some other positive news coming from the fight against the Waldo Canyon Fire.
The numbers show some signs of progress and a hefty price tag for the fire.
Not going to unpack everything yet, and I'm not quite sure I feel safe yet being here, it's still going on.
Because there are so many firefighters, they're able to actually focus on the entire fire and not just specific areas. So they've kind of divided it up into divisions, and they have firefighters in each of those divisions that are equipped to build fire lines and really take an offensive role in battling the flames.
Boy, it makes a world of difference. If it's just hot and 107 degrees and you got strong, dry winds, it just makes it really, really hard. But when you can just get a little bit of that recovery there, it really helps everyone. It helps you as a firefighter out there in the line.
That this is going to be record-setting for the United States of America in terms of a community coming together and helping ourselves.
Hope tonight in the fight against the Waldo Canyon wildfire. Firefighters gaining ground as we learn good news about the missing.
The firefighters, I think, have done an absolute amazing job. I know that our neighborhood was saved the other day.
I can't tell you how grateful we are for our fire departments.
Praise the firefighters.
Thank you, everybody who has helped out in this fire.
It was an emotional scene here today as hundreds of people lined up waiting to hear if they still had a home to go back to. Some were greeted with good news and others with bad, but no matter the answer, they were in it together.
It's one of those things that you just feel compassionate for them and say, man, it really stinks that this happened.
In the midst of all of this awfulness that's happened, to have extra help coming in is tremendous.
We can talk to folks and say, hey, you can't go in here, but just know that we're here to help keep anybody else who might want to, do harm to your house out as well.
I just want you to know, for what it's worth, and I think it's worth a ton, 81% of the homes in that area were saved. And I'll give you a couple examples of how that happened. We just left the scene a few minutes ago. A lot of areas looked like some of the wooden stairs going up to the house were on fire. The stairs were torn away from the house, preventing those stairs from burning and actually catching the house on fire. There was rugs, things like that were out on decks that were on fire, torn away, that would have caught the house on fire had it not been done proactively. I just want you all to know that our heart aches for people that lost their lives and or people that lost property. It aches. But there's 81% of those homes that were saved.
One thing I would like to say, I've been on a lot of fires in my 30-plus year career here, and never once have we seen the outpouring of support that we're getting from the public for the firefighters out there.
People across the Pikes Peak area are going out of their way to say thank you to the more than 1,000 firefighters who have vigilantly fought the Waldo Canyon Fire.
I want to thank Secretary Napolitano and Secretary Vilsack for being here and for all the help that your departments and the federal government and the state government have given us. It's been a truly unified approach to this, and without that, we would have much more damage.
Oh, Rob and Lisa, what an emotional scene out here around 8 o'clock tonight as hundreds of people just gathered impromptu on the street corners to cheer on the firefighters as they came off the fire lines. For several nights in a row now, people have been coming out in droves with handmade signs, cheering wildly as exhausted firefighters come off the lines of the Waldo Canyon Fire. Parents are bringing their young kids to teach them the lessons of sacrifice and appreciation, and the adults themselves thank the heroes who have come from states all across the country to help battle the most destructive wildfire in Colorado history.
The Waldo Canyon Fire is at 70% containment. We feel that we're starting to turn the corner. We've still got 30% left out there to focus. There are a lot of firefighters actively engaged on the line.
My daughter said it best. She turned to me and she said, Mom, she said, I'm getting butterflies in my tummy. Why am I getting butterflies? And I said, it's because you're doing something from your heart.
So thank you. And people do a lot. People remember thank yous, so that's it, simple, People just need that.
To see the good that actually is coming from this, the community, to see the community rallying around the firefighters, the signs everywhere, it's been really a neat experience for our kids.
I'm going to say thank you for saving some of the houses. I know some of them are burned, so I'm just glad that our house is saved.
And Rob and Lisa, the crowd here at 31st and Fontanero grows bigger each night, and many of the folks here vow they will keep coming back every single night until the fire is completely put out and all the firefighters are finally sent home.
Thank you for fighting the fire.
Then, on July 4th, KOAA and the entire Colorado Springs community came together for a special multi-platform simulcast fundraiser called A Community Rises, hosted by our own Lisa Leiden.
That concert and subsequent fundraising through KOAA and El Pomar has helped collect more than $500,000 in relief funds so far.
The community also came together to say thank you to our firefighters.
For our country, 9/11 was a defining moment. And I think for our community in Colorado Springs and for Southern Colorado, this is one of those defining moments that we will remember for decades. It's that big a deal and that important to our community.
Again, I'm Jennifer Horbout.
And I'm Rob Quirk. And a reminder, if you'd like to share this program with others,
We've posted a link to the entire 30-minute special on our website, KOAA.com.
and thanks again for joining us for this historical perspective on the wildfire.
The Waldo Canyon Fire, 12 days in the lives of countless Coloradoans that we will never forget.
This has been a KOAA 5 special. The Waldo Canyon Wildfire, now fully contained. We thank our firefighters. We thank all the first responders. And most of all, we thank you, our viewers, for opening your heart and helping your neighbors when it really mattered. We are strong. We are giving. We are Southern Colorado. Thank you for watching KOAA's Fire on the Mountain, the first 12 days.